and I know this is kind of a dramatic word to use, but people kind of get into their ghettos of thought, you know, that like this is the way things are done with us. And I think it's important to consider that, you know, psychotherapy, the field in general, is not one professional organization. And, you know, for me, I joined EMDRIA because I loved EMDR. I still love EMDR as a modality, but I don't think EMDRIA defines me. A lot of the values that they support in terms of how EMDR should be done are not what I agree with. So I don't think any one professional organization defines me and what I do in my practice. You know, I kind of like to see, well, what's the best from all these worlds I could take, because I think integration is the key to good therapy.
So when you say EMDRIA doesn't define you, you wrote a book called The Four Faces of EMDR. Mm-hmm. So could you talk just a little bit about why you decided to write it?
I decided to write The Four Faces of EMDR, and trust me, it was kind of a struggle. Like, do I write this? Because I had this concept in my head, and I think I shared with you earlier in our talk about the four faces, you know, and what they are. And it was one of those, I think a lot of people in the larger psychotherapy field would appreciate it, whereas people within EMDRIA who have kind of like that, what I call the protocol-oriented mindset, you know, would see it as something radical and woo-woo, and, you know, it doesn't have enough research base to it. But I really take the attitude in the book that when I was being trained, when I was going through EMDRIA-approved consultation, I had a lot of people, very respected people, use this line with me. Well, Jamie, this is what the textbook says to do, or this is what the EMDRIA definition would say to do, but this is what I really do. And I'm like, wouldn't it be brilliant if we all shared what we really do?
Clinically.
Clinically. And I'm like, you know, to me, that's what practice knowledge is. To me, that's, you know, the science of direct observation. And yeah, if we need to refine it and research it to get it validated, then, you know, we have to do that. But I think, you know, the field of trauma work, the field of EMDR, the field of psychotherapy in general would be enriched if we share what we do that works. I think that's the key thing. Now, I wrote it because I feel there is a gap in the literature on EMDR that is really clinician friendly.
Okay.
I think, you know, with the exception of like some stuff from Parnell and the first popular Shapiro book I shared, I think a lot of it is academic friendly. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it is kind of this, well, we're trying to make our case, but a lot of just, you know, ordinary Joe clinician, Jane clinician who get trained, it goes over their heads a lot. And I think that's almost like an elitism that concerns me, because I don't think EMDR is something that should be made elite. You know, I don't think it's something that should be like this boutique therapy that only the most resource clients should have access to. You know, do I think everybody could do EMDR? Not necessarily, because I don't think everybody really jives with the modality. But I do think there would be more people, because I think there's a big problem too with implementation. We had talked about this earlier. People get trained, whether they do your training and institute training, and then they don't go out and use it because there is such this fear. And I do think a voice that I share in the book that's missing is a very you can do this attitude if you take just a few basic things in mind. And that's a lesson I've learned from doing consultation, is that people are receptive to trying if they're properly supported.